So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to our web access page. In our web access page, you're going to go to your course and click on Handouts. And under Handouts, you have serial-data.excel. So let's open that up. And the thing we're going to do is we're going to get all the data in there and then copy it and then paste it onto our Google Sheets. Google Sheets, yeah. Okay? So here's my data that's opened up in Excel right now. So this is in Excel. I could work in Excel, but let's work with Google Sheets since everybody will definitely have access to that. So I'm going to go to my browser and type drive.google.com, and then you log in if you have to under your school account. And I have several folder layers, but I'm going to go to this particular folder. So if you don't have folders and you don't have any files in there, that's not that big of a deal. So I'm going to say New, click on New, and then there's Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. I'm going to choose Sheets. So I have a blank spreadsheet, and what I want to do for now is name this. I'm going to name it with my last name and my first initial, and then I'll say underscore serial data. So use your last name and your first initial, capitalize the first letter in your last name and capitalize your initial, and then underscore serial data. Okay, so I'll press enter, and it looks like my sheets are ready. I'm going to go back to the Excel, and then I'm going to click on the top left corner to highlight everything. Top left corner to highlight everything. And then I'm going to say Control C or Apple C. And then I'm going to go back to my sheets, and then I'll say Control V. And then now I have everything pasted. Okay. So again, go back to your sheet, your Excel sheet, click on the upper left-hand corner, beyond name, up on the beyond that. If I click on that, everything gets highlighted. And then I'll say Control C, and then I'll go to my drive, my sheets, and then Control V to copy everything. Okay? So just down here where it says Sheet 1, I'm just going to rename that to serial dash data. So that's my original data. And from now on, whenever we need to dig through this, we'll come back to this file, and then you know the original data is going to be here. So everything else that we're going to do, we'll do on a different sheet so that the original data doesn't get messed up. Okay? So I have serial dash data as the title of this particular sheet. Any questions so far? All right. So now I'm going to add a new sheet. There's a little plus sign to the left of this serial data here. I'll click on the plus sign, and then I have sheet 2. So I can name that as something or leave it blank. So I'll just leave it as sheet 2 for now. All right. Now, I'm doing this so that we have a new sheet to play with the data without messing up our original data. Okay. So what data do we want? Let's take a look at sugar versus consumer reports rating. So what I need you to do is I need you to scroll to the right. There's a little scroll bar there, and look for sugars, and then look for the consumer reports ratings. There's one category that says sugar, and then another one that says sugar percent per weight. So I just want the plain old sugar. So if you copied it exactly the way I did, it should be in column L, sugars. All right? So our task is to take this without changing it, so just copy this and then copy it onto the next page. And then we'll copy another column, we'll copy the CR ratings, and then onto the next page. So I will Control C this, and then go to sheet 2, and then Control V to paste. Then I'm going to go back to serial data, and then I will look for the CR ratings, which is just a couple of columns down from there. I'll press Control C again while the whole column is highlighted, and I'll go to sheet 2. And this time I want to move over to the next column, so make sure you don't overwrite what you've already done. So I'm going to click on column B and then paste. So I have the sugars and the CR ratings on this page. Okay? So that makes me think of a good title for this sheet. So I'm going to go back to sheet 2 and rename this to sugar versus CR ratings. And by convention, I don't usually like using spaces, so whenever I start a new word, I just capitalize the letter. Or you can do underline or underscores or just dashes. So do it any way you want. This name of this doesn't matter. All right. We good so far? I also found a way to make this into a header instead of the sugar and the CR ratings. I found that if you grab right above the 1, there's a little line up there. If you take that and grab it and move it down 1, now the word sugar and the CR rating will act as a title or as a header for that whole column. Pardon me? Oh, that was, I copied it directly from here. So I just clicked on the whole column, and then I copied it, Control C. Oh, if you didn't add, if it's not there, so if it's not there and this is all you have, you can click on the number 1, and then right click, and then insert 1 above, and then type in whatever title you want to type in. So you have these headers here? Yeah. If you have those headers there, right above the 1 there's a little line. You move your cursor until it looks like a hand. You click and drag that down so that it becomes a header. It's not what? You can click on the whole column and take that whole column. Okay? That's probably the hardest part. Now everything's going to be easy. No, it's going to be hard. Not that hard. All right, we ready? Okay. Now, I want to do two things. One, I want to make a scatter plot out of this. And then two, I want to get that number, the correlation coefficient number. Okay, so I'm going to do two things. First, the scatter plot. I think what I could do is I can highlight A and B together. So you click on A and then shift click on B, or you can click on A and then drag it onto B. Anyways, as long as I highlight both columns, we're going to be ready for our next task. We're going to make a scatter plot. So to make a scatter plot, this insert really has a lot of information here. I click on insert and chart. So I'm going to insert a chart. Insert chart. Now, this gives you appropriate charts for what you've highlighted. And if you remember, when we highlighted one column, the suggestion that they had was a histogram. So here, I highlighted two columns, and their suggestion is, hey, do you want to do a scatter plot? And you say, yes, of course I want to do a scatter plot. So you could just press insert, and you're done. That's the scatter plot. Notice that the headers, the way we had it set up, so that the sugars and the CR ratings were the title. And here, Google Sheets was nice enough to label my X and the Y axis appropriately. I don't need this CR legend over here, so I can click on that and, whoa. I'll click on that, and I was going to hit delete, but that didn't work. So Control X is always another nice, whoa. I just want to take this out. Oh, right click and clear legend. Thank you. That'll work. Okay? No, you don't have to. Doesn't matter. If I press delete, it looks like it's going to hit the back. Yeah, so don't do that. All right. So I have a scatter plot. That looks nice. I can double click on these things, change colors, make the dots smaller, change the shape of the dot. You can do lots of different things, but I'll let you mess around with that. All right, so that's task one. Our second task is to find the actual number. Before we find the number, it would be nice to guess what the correlation coefficient is, just like you guys did with the sticky notes. First of all, is the direction positive or negative here? It looks like if I were to draw a line, the line would be going down. So it looks like this would have a negative correlation. Now, look at how tightly this wraps around this imaginary line that I'm putting down. Take some guesses of what the correlation coefficient is. 0.8? Negative 0.8? Negative 0.7? Okay. Negative 0.75. So those three guesses are right around where I would have guessed this. So let's see how close we got. All right. Pick a cell down below anywhere. And then type equals. So whenever you want to type a command in Excel or in Google Sheets, you say you start off with an equal sign. And when you start typing, it's going to give you, it's guesses if you haven't finished. So The key word here is correlation coefficient, COR. So if I start typing COR, I see the possible commands that they have. And for Excel and for Google Sheets, the command is Correl, C-O-R-R-E-L. So I could just finish typing Correl, open parentheses, or I can just click on this, and then it's going to finish it off for me with the rest of the Correl and then open parentheses. I don't have an A and a B, but those are the two things that you want. So you want... Oh, yeah, okay. So for the data, I'm just going to type A, or I can click and drag, but I think I can just click on the column A, since it knows that my first value is a title, comma, I need two things here. I need the X list and the Y list. And I'm going to click on column B. And then close parentheses. This is Robbie's guess. Negative 0.759 is negative 0.76. So we pretty much nailed it. So this correlation coefficient, by the way, is called R. So I like to put an R equals to, and then this is just to make things look nicer, R equals to, and then I align it to the right so that R equals to looks like it's closer to that number. Okay? So just to remind you, next to it, if I want to save this sheet and have you guys take a look at it for later, I'm going to, I want to put that command here, the equals command. Now, whenever I start off with an equal sign, it's going to assume that it's a formula, but I don't want this to compute the formula. I want it to just look like the way it is. So you don't have to do this, but I will put an apostrophe, and then the thing that I wanted to write, equals Correl, open parentheses, array 1, comma, array 2. Or let me change it to X list, comma, Y list, close parentheses. So this way, I can still see that this is the command that I was asking it to do.
So this is just for...
That's just for me to show you that this is what I typed here, Correl. Okay? Robbie? Oh, so I typed R equals, right? And when you press enter, it's all the way to the left, but I want it closer to the right. So over on the top, it says horizontal align. I click on that, and then I click on the right align so that it looks like it's closer to the right. That's just for aesthetic purposes. You have to say what your X list and your Y list was. So I could have done this in the original sheet, and then I would have had, X list, and then I move a couple of columns down Y list. All right? Okay. So I'm going to stop the video.